High in the heart of the Asmara Mountains, nestled between towering peaks crowned with eternal snow, lay a lake so still it mirrored the sky. Few had seen it, and even fewer dared to approach, for Mirror Lake was wrapped in legends, whispers of an ancient civilization buried beneath its surface. For Leaf, an ambitious explorer, the lake was not just a mystery, it was a calling. He had spent years studying forgotten manuscripts, deciphering symbols carved into ruined temples, and tracing old maps that all pointed to one truth. The lake was hiding something. Now, after months of travel, Leaf stood at its edge. His companions, Osric, a grizzled guide, Illyra, a scholar fluent in ancient tongues, and Garrick, a silent but deadly hunter, stood beside him. Osric squinted at the water. Strange, not a ripple, no fish, no birds, just silence. Illyra shivered. It feels unnatural. Leaf grinned. Then we're in the right place. But Mirror Lake was not just a place of legend. It was alive, watching, waiting, and it did not welcome trespassers. The team set up camp near the shore, their fire casting flickering shadows. As night fell, the lake seemed to absorb the light, turning into a black void. Illyra studied the old map spread before her. If the city is beneath the water, there must be a way down. Perhaps an underwater entrance. Osric frowned, or maybe the lake is a grave. Leaf ignored him, his gaze locked on something in the distance. A set of stone pillars jutted from the water, like fingers reaching for the sky. He grabbed a torch and strode toward them. The others hesitated, then followed. The pillars were covered in carvings. Illyra ran her fingers over them, gasping. This script, it's older than anything I've ever seen. Garrick, ever watchful, pointed at a circular indentation in one of the pillars. A keyhole, he muttered. Leaf pulled a medallion from his pouch, a relic he had found. He pressed it into the slot. A deep rumble shook the ground. The water around the pillars churned, spiraling downward into a vortex. Then, with a mighty roar, the lake split open, revealing a massive staircase descending into darkness. Osric whispered, "By the gods!" Leaf grinned. "Shall we?" With torches in hand, they stepped into the unknown. The air grew colder as they descended. The walls, slick with moisture, were lined with carvings, depictions of a grand civilization, their temples rising high above the water. Then, suddenly, the staircase ended, opening into a vast chamber. The city lay before them, frozen in time. Buildings of gold and obsidian shimmered under the pale light of bioluminescent fungi. Bridges stretched over canals filled with dark water, and statues loomed. Illyra's voice trembled. "It's real." Leaf stepped forward, his heart pounding, the weight of centuries pressed down on them. This was history, untouched by time. Then a sound, a whisper. Garrick raised his crossbow. "We're not alone." Shadows flickered in the distance. Eyes glowed in the darkness. The city was not abandoned. Something still lived here. A low growl echoed through the cavern. From the shadows, figures emerged. Humanoid, but not human. Their skin was smooth and black like wet stone, their eyes luminous pools of silver. Illyra raised her hands. "We mean no harm." One of the creatures, taller than the rest, stepped forward. Its voice was a blend of many, layered and ancient. "You have entered the domain of the forgotten. Why do you seek the city?" Leaf swallowed. "To learn." The leader studied him, then gestured toward a massive temple at the heart of the city. Then stepped forward, seekers. But beware, truth has a price. With cautious steps, they followed the guardians toward the temple. Inside the temple, the air was thick with incense. At the center stood a pedestal, atop which rested a massive, crystalline sphere. The guardian leader turned to them. "The wisdom of our people is contained within, but only those who prove worthy may receive it." Illyra stepped forward. "How do we prove our worth?" The guardian raised a hand. The sphere pulsed. The world blurred. Suddenly, they were somewhere else. A vast desert stretched before them, a city in ruins at its heart. The sun burned overhead, and screams echoed in the distance. Leaf gasped, This is their past.